order the Springfield Township Board of Trustee meeting for April 13th, 2021. It's approximately 6 p.m. Can we have the roll call, Mr. Burning?
Yes, Ms. Davis?
Present.
Mr. Harlow?
Present.
Mr. Burning?
Present.
All the trustees are present?
Can we have the approval of the minutes?
I'll do the pledge of allegiance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Jumped right over it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the approval of minutes. I'd like to get approval for our regular session on March 9th, 2021, and our regular work session on March 23rd, 2021. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Burning, can we have a financial report, please?
Yes, Mr. Burning. For the month ending March 31st, 2021, the township expenditures were $1,647,208.29, and receipts were $733,663.54. The ending cash balance of $18,503,229.81 includes obligations for expenditures, payroll, regular operating costs, ongoing capital improvement projects, and investments. What I do request from the board is an approval of the receipts, warrants, payroll expenditures, update and current revenue and reports for the period ending March 31st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I just want everyone to know that our township financial reports are available at the administrative offices during regular business hours or on our website 24/7. Thank you, Mr. Burns.
Thank you. And Mr. Gilbert, do you have a department action and discussion item?
I do, Mr. Burney, and I apologize in advance. A lot of these requested action items are going to be prefaced with pending final legal review. So I do apologize. That is a common theme you will hear. The first one is to renew our agreement for Township Medical Director. As the board is aware, we do have an agreement with a medical doctor that oversees and helps facilitate our paramedic program. So I'm asking for an authority to enter into an agreement with, looking for exactly who, the Emergency Medicine Physicians of Cincinnati Limited, for the purposes of being the Township Medical Director.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And again, once again, that would be pending final legal review. Likewise, as the board is aware, we currently, approximately 5 years ago now, a little over 5 years ago now, in 2016, we went out to bid for solid waste and recycling services for Springfield Township to aggregate those services. At the time, it was requested by a majority of those we heard from was to provide a contractual service with a preferred vendor for those services in the township that would, with the sole purpose and goal of providing a lower price to township residents for garbage and recycling services. At the time, residents were paying approximately $23 a month. As the board is aware, since we went through and created that solid waste district and selected a preferred vendor, went through the bidding process, Rumpke won that bid in 2016. Residents saved in excess of $370 over that 5-year period from 2016 to 2021. In the spirit and wanting to continue providing a low-cost option for residents for that service, the board sought to go out to bid again because our previous 5-year term had ended, and we had done that, and the sole responder to that bid was Rumpke again. and I'm happy to report that we received a favorable bid, which I believe is favorable compared to the market and compared to what we received last time. And as the board is aware, that previous contract had price increases from year to year built into that 5-year agreement. In 2020, that price was $17.55. In 2021, Rumpke is proposing that price to be $17.55 again, and that is for the unlimited service. There is various different services that are available, but the unlimited service clearly is the one that residents choose the most. Then there is the limited service, meaning what you can just fit in a single can, excluding the recycling can, and that would be $14 a month in the first year. And then in the 5th year for the unlimited service, it would be $19. For the record, the first year again is $17.55. The second year would be $17.90. The 3rd year would be $18.25. The 4th year would be $18.63, and the 5th year would be $19. And I think it's worth noting that while some may not like the fact that they can now no longer choose who their waste provider is, clearly, back in 2016, on average, residents were paying $23 a month for garbage and recycling services. Even in year 5 of this contract, which would be 10 years since we started this process, the price would be $19 for those services. So you're saving $4 a month, even 10 years later than what you were paying in 2016. I think that's phenomenal. And I think that's a credit to this board for taking that action and being courageous enough to go out and look for bids and ways to save residents money.
Not only that, but they used to give you a red bin about this big that cost $2.50 a month.
Right.
And now you're provided with not a full size, but about 70% of a full size garbage can to put recycling. And that's made our recycling go through the roof compared to 5 years ago.
Most other communities right now,
That's part of this cost.
looking at a subscription rate, what would happen if we weren't under a contractual rate with Rumpke, a subscription rate for individual residents right now in other communities in Hamilton County right now are paying $20 just for garbage and another $4.50 a month for recycling. You're getting recycling and garbage and the container in the first year of this contract for $17.55.
Yeah.
And I think that's in large part due to the fact that we've been a valued partner of Rumpke through a contractual basis for the past 5 years. Additionally, they see the value in having this community be customers of Rumpke. And then additionally, I think in the foresight the board had, at least this time around, was to look at the success that we've had with our utility aggregation programs and bring in our consultant that helped us facilitate those agreements and had them help us through this bid process, and also at the same time will be an advocate for residents going forward as a customer support standpoint between themselves and Rumpke to ensure that if they have any issues with Rumpke, or if they have any concerns, or if they need anything, that they now have a customer service role to play, this consultant does, between our residents and Rumpke, and was able to successfully walk us through this bidding process and put us in a position to receive this favorable pricing. As a result, there will be a 10-cent charge per month to help facilitate and pay for that consulting agreement with the consultant that residents will pay per account. But again, that's $1.20 per year. Looking at this, they're already saving in the first year well over $100 on what it would be with a subscription rate. I think the $1.20 a year to pay to be able to put us in this position to save this amount of money is money well spent in a very good investment. So with that being said, I would ask to award the bid to the sole bidder, which is Rumpke, for the price that's already been stipulated, and at the same time, a secondary motion to authorize me to sign the agreement to Rumpke for a 5-year term ending April 30th of 2026, and according to the stipulations and pricing outlined in the agreement, pending final legal review.
Do we have a motion pending legal agreement?
We got the two motions. I'll make a motion as to the approval of the agreement.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the second would be to then authorize or award the bid to Rumpke as the sole
Do we have a
responder.
motion to award
I
the
think
bid
that's
to
what I just-
Rumpke?
But you authorize the motion for the actual agreement, the contract.
Yes. Now
pricing.
we're authorizing you to sign it.
No. You authorize him to sign it first.
You
You
have-
can do it as one.
You can do it as one, I
You can do
guess.
it. So we can interpret the first agreement as awarding the bid to Rumpke and authorizing the execution of the agreement. That's
There we go.
Per legal agreement.
Typically,
Yes.
we award it first.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
Very good.
Um,
And I would just like to say, Chris,
Yeah.
good work on behalf of the staff in helping put this whole thing together. I mean, for any one resident, this isn't going to, nobody's going to retire on what they're saving from this, but on the other hand, it all helps. And from a community perspective as a whole, it can be a lot of money, especially if we were, paying $25 a month, everybody, where we could easily be and not have as good a service. Getting that additional, as Mr. Barney, as you said, getting that additional recycling container that everybody has tremendously boosted the recycling that that the community does, keeps things out of the landfill, and it's, everybody I talk to thinks that was a step in the right direction. So, thanks again for the hard work.
Township-wide, if you look at what residents per household look to save on average over the next 5 years, is close to $300. And you multiply that by the number of households that are part of this, is almost a $14 million savings over 5 years.
All right. Thank you.
Next, we have a transfer, a liquor permit hearing request between Colping Ballpark LLC to Catholic Colping Society of Cincinnati. I don't think there's any objections.
No objection.
So I would just entertain
Do we
a
have a
motion to
motion?
send the requisite paperwork.
Yeah, I make a motion, we send the appropriate paperwork to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, I have some additionally exciting news in addition to the Rumpke contract, is to award the bid to our lowest bidder for our 2021 road resurfacing project. And Mike, that's about 25 streets, right?
That is correct.
One of the largest projects we've ever let in Springfield Township.
The largest project.
The largest.
Performed, yes.
The total project award for the lowest bidder is $3,372,014.75, and that is with Adlita Construction. And I'm happy to report as well is that half of that $3.372 million will be coming from state grant funding. So, again, great work. Congratulations on that grant.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
So I'll just ask a motion to award the bid to Adlita Construction for $3.372,014.75.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And I would like to point out that was, the engineer's estimate on that project was $4,571,000. So it was significantly, the bids that, Mike, you were able to get came in significantly under the engineer's estimate.
We timed it perfectly, and the size of the project and the project location was very advantageous to us.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Next, we have a motion, I'm asking for a motion to award the Commonwealth Storm Sewer Project to Stauffer Site Services in the amount of $211,425. I will add that they were the second lowest bidder, and that's because the lowest bidder, Queen City Mechanical, did not comply with the bidding requirements.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I would just like to add on that we did, of course, alert the first lowest bidder
Queen
as to the
City.
concerns, Queen City, as to the concerns, and did discuss that. But end of the day, they really couldn't be resolved without giving them a competitive advantage that's not permitted under the law. So I just, throw out the low bidder without a lot of discussion and consternation, and certainly let them know the basis for that in a written document, had discussions.
Thank you, Laura.
Well, and just so it's clear, the difference between those two bids was what, about $12,000? Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't much money.
About 5 or 6%.
Yeah.
But the board's obligation is to go with the lowest and best bidder. And
Correct.
sometimes the lowest bidder is not the best. And
Right.
certainly with the bidding irregularities, that's where you have a concern. So,
Right.
but it is not often that we do not go with the lowest bidder, so it is rather unusual. We did go through the process, completely transparent with the bidder as to why.
Thank you, Laura. Next, we have an easement agreement at 10599 Hamilton Avenue, and I'm going to ask Mike to chime in here, but essentially this is an agreement that we are granting Brian Lynch and Sarah Lynch, as well as James Mast and Linda Mast, an easement agreement over the portions of the property of the existing Chautauqua Park. And it is for purposes of allowing them to connect to sanitary sewer from their property. As I understand it, this will not impact the use of the park. It will not impact any future possible use of the park. And therefore, I don't think we have any objection. Obviously, we're granting that easement. And I would like it to be known as well is that those requesting the easement, the property owners, are paying for all fees and costs associated with creating the easement documents as well as recording the requested easement. Mike, I don't know if you want to add.
The only thing I will add is that Chautauqua Park, as you're aware, encompasses about 15 to 16 acres. We're talking about a 20-foot piece of the property on the far southeast corner of the property. Very, very minimal minor impact to the property.
And this will, obviously, allowing this will prevent them from having to put in a septic system and allow them to connect to sanitary sewer instead.
Thank you both. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, and I apologize, there's kind of a long list of here things. We're getting close to the end. Next, I have the property and casualty insurance renewal proposal from the Ohio Plan and our broker Highland. As the board is aware, we've been working with the Ohio Plan now for close to 25 years as our insurance provider for property and casualty insurance, and it has served our purposes well. Occasionally, we do go out to the private market to see what else is out there, and we recently did that a few years ago, but I do know that the proposal we're getting today is about a 5% increase from what it was in 2020. In fact, it's 5.09%, so the premium will go from $221,292 to $234,974. That's a result of some market increases, most notably, but additionally, there's some additional coverages and then related to our loss ratio from last year as well. Looking at the private market, a lot of communities and a lot of other entities are seeing somewhere between a 20 and 30% increase. So for us to receive a little over a 5% increase, I think really bears out and proves that being part of this public entity insurance pool is very cost effective for us. So I would ask and entertain a motion authorizing me to enter into a renewal agreement with Highland and the Ohio Plan for property and casualty insurance premium for the year of 2021 in the amount of $234,974.
Thank you, Chris. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Lastly, from an action standpoint, we have the addition to the approved caterer list for Tortillera Garcia at 4200 Arrow Drive, Mason, Ohio, 45040. Again, just as an addition to the approved caterer list for the Grove Bank Club.
Thanks, Chris. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Under discussion items, just a couple of things. First, as the board is aware, every 5 years, the Ohio Revised Code requires the township to renew our bank depository agreement. That's essentially where the township does all of our banking, makes all our deposits for our revenue. Our current agreement with Northside Bank, and it expires in August of this year. And the Ohio Revised Code also requires that the township place the depository agreement out to bid and award the bid to the financial institution that can best meet the township's needs. I think, Laura, you had asked that we obviously talk about this at a public meeting in order to get it on the record that we will be soliciting bids for our depository agreement. And we will be getting that out here in short order in order to meet that deadline prior to the August, expiration of our current agreement.
That's correct. At the next meeting, we'll probably take some action on it and get the bid packets ready to go. Typically, we've done that in May or June, so that we know who we want and to select by July. As Mr. Gilbert stated, it expires in August. So it is a statutory process. It's pretty well-defined, but we like all the banks to know in advance so that they can be ready to prepare a bid if they wish to do so.
We've had a good relationship with Northside Bank in the past, but it's, we want to follow the statutory process and see if there's anything better out there for the township. So
Sure.
it's, yeah. Okay.
Next, I have the personnel update. In the fire department, we had the resignation of Christian Clark, part-time EMT firefighter. Additionally, we had the resignation of Fred Sarvis, part-time medic firefighter. And I know we will be discussing Fred at a subsequent meeting, but just for tonight's purposes, he served the township in different capacities for 50 years. Is that correct, Mr.?
That's correct. He started as a EMT firefighter on March the 1st, 1971, a volunteer with the Northern Hills Fire Department. He became one of the first paramedics in the township in the 70s. And then he became a part-time firefighter paramedic with Springfield Township when we started in 1996. And as of March the 1st, 2021, he retired with 50 years of service.
Almost as much as you, Chief Bradley.
I'm sorry.
He's gonna kill me later.
Couldn't hear that.
Additionally, in the fire department, we had the new hire of Patrick Clendenin as a part-time EMT firefighter, the hiring of Lucas Brown as a part-time EMT firefighter, the hiring of Brandon Murphy as a part-time EMT firefighter, and the hiring of Andrew Harrington as a part-time EMT firefighter, who used to be with Public Works and now has defected over to the dark side, right, Mike?
Absolutely. Told him he can't come back either.
In the police department, we had the new hire of Justin, and I'm going to butcher this last name,
Eichel.
as a police officer, date of hire March 22nd of 21, and then the hiring of Oliver Zellner as a police officer, same date of hire, March 22nd of 21. In the Arts Community Center, we had the resignation of Dana Smith as a bartender, date of resignation March 10th of 21. With that, I will turn it over to Kim for community events programs.
Thank you. This Saturday, April the 17th, the Public Works Department is going to be hosting a tire recycling day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The following Saturday, on April the 24th, the Police Department is going to be taking drugs off of the street, basically. They're doing their DEA Drug Take Back Day. On April the 30th through May 2nd, we have a virtual event. It is with Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park doing the show Dragons Love Tacos. Those tickets are free, but the viewing is only between April the 30th and May 2nd. Then Arts Connect has partnered with the Cincinnati Public Library System. We are going to be offering every Friday from May 7th through August the 6th an outdoor story hour from 11 to noon. We're encouraging families to pack a lunch. And then the Cincinnati librarian will have a story out on the back deck for them every Friday through the summer. Finally, on Friday, May the 21st, we are hosting a job fair. Actually, Springfield Township is hosting that job fair featuring some of our industry businesses here. And that is going to be back at the Arts Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Thank you.
Events are back.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
Thank you, Kim.
We will still be practicing
Yes.
health and safety protocols, but we are slowly getting back to normal.
Tiptoeing back into normalcy.
Thank you, Kim. The board has copies of the departmental activity reports. Unless there are questions of those, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Next, we have resolutions. The first one is resolution number 33, 2021, approving cash advance from general fund to community development block grant fund. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Honolaw.
Aye.
Mr. Bernie.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Second is resolution number 34, 2021, authorizing the filing of an application pursuant to revised code 2981 1.12 and revised code 3719.11 to authorize the destruction of property in the possession of the Drug Abuse Reduction Task Force, DART, that has been unclaimed, lost, abandoned, stolen, forfeited, or otherwise has no use.
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo?
Aye.
Mr. Bernie?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next is resolution number 35, 2021, authorizing the filing of an application pursuant to revised code 2981.12 and revised code 3719.11 to authorize the destruction of property in the possession of Springfield Township Police Department that has been unclaimed, lost, abandoned, stolen, forfeited, or otherwise is obsolete or unfit for use. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo?
Aye.
Mr. Bernie?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next, we have resolution number 36, 2021, authorizing the sale by internet auction of vehicles forfeited to Springfield Township pursuant to section 4503.233E1 of the Ohio Revised Code, which are no longer needed for public use, are obsolete or unfit for use in the Drug Abuse Reduction Task Force or the Police Department. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo?
Aye.
Mr. Bernie?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next is resolution number 37, 2021, authorizing sale by internet auction of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in the Springfield Township Police Department. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo?
Aye.
Mr. Bernie?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next is resolution number 38, 2021, authorizing private sale of unneeded and unfit for use property in the police department. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo?
Aye.
Mr. Bernie?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next is resolution number 39, 2021, authorizing sale by internet auction of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit for use property in the fire department. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo?
Aye.
Mr. Bernie?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next is resolution number 40, 2021, declaring motor vehicles located on public or private property in Springfield Township, Hamilton County, Ohio, to be junk motor vehicles pursuant to revised code 505.173, and ordering the removal of such vehicles pursuant to resolution number 80, 2012, and revised code 505.871. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo?
Aye.
Mr. Bernie?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Laura, do I need to read 41 since we already did a resolution? Okay. Resolution number 41, 2021 is a resolution to amend resolution number 26, 2021, declaring a dangerous property condition at 2046 2nd Avenue. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo?
Aye.
Mr. Bernie?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Might want to get a drink of water before this next one.
Next is resolution number 42, 2021, determining necessity for road improvements pursuant to revised code 5573.01 on Toulon Drive, Cloverton Court, Mary Maid Lane, Maria Avenue, Briar Rose Court, Sherwood Drive, Nohanta Court, Sherman Terrace, West McKelvey Road, Lakeview Drive, Wildbrook Lane, Northbrook Court, Ridgebrook Court, Garnoa Drive, Turway Lane, Crestbrook Drive, Kelso Court, Sunwood Court, Furbrook Court, Northfield Lane, Southfield Court, Sarbrook Drive, Newgate Lane, Bellsage Court, and Woodmill Lane, and authorizing statutory actions required for such improvements. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo?
Aye.
Mr. Bernie?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
And last, resolution number 43, 2021, declaring nuisances pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 505.87 at various listed properties within Springfield Township and authorizing statutory actions necessary to abate the nuisances. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Honolo?
Aye.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Before we go on, I just wanted to say you did a yeoman's job on everything, but you messed up 2 titles on the first 2. The last part should have said, or otherwise lawfully seized on 34/2021.
That's because I was reading off the
You-
internet page and it wasn't on there.
It wasn't, yes, so I apologize. And it says otherwise lawfully seized on 35/2021. We don't need to do it again. The board has the resolutions in front of them. Just technically, the reading of the title is how we pass resolutions. I just want to note that for the record, and I apologize that it wasn't available for your view.
That's okay, Laura.
But that's what it should have said, so. But the resolution says it appropriately, the agenda says it appropriately, so all the documents are
Okay, thank
completely
you.
appropriate. Thanks.
Do we have any old business before the board?
I do not.
No old business.
Any new business?
Not this evening.
I do not.
Next part is our citizens' participation. Please come up to the podium, state your name and address if you'd like to speak to the board. And if everyone else could, all of us could be quiet so we can hear what they have to say. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
My name is Dan Torbeck. I own Torbeck's Auto Repair, the corner of Caldwell Drive and Vine Street. 8045 Vine Street, actually, but it's actually on Caldwell Drive, so kind of there. We have a nuisance issue with the local bar. It's 2 doors from my property, and they've been open not quite 4 years now. And they closed in March of last year because of the COVID. They were closed down till New Year's Eve. And Katie barred the door. They were back in business. And they were just their clientele are disrespectful, litter bugs. They park anywhere they want. They throw food and alcohol and just about anything they want all over the place. I've been picking up trash at that location. I've been there almost 29 years myself. So we've been in business there quite a while, and I was always, we take care of that. There's an island down in the street, on Vine Street, that we maintained for 29 years, and people told me that was futile, it wouldn't last, people would tear it up. It's still there, we still take care of it. We sweep, we pick up trash, we plant flowers, and we take care of it. Well, when these people, these constituents, these clientele don't take care of my house, that aggravates me. And I've been picking up the trash, and I would always pick up the trash for 29 years. But the last 4 years, that has quadrupled in the amount of garbage that I pick up. They're only open 6 days a week, thank goodness, but the difference in picking up the trash and what's there, and people say, oh, everybody throws stuff out, and they're right. There's trash everywhere, but Friday and Saturday night, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night are their big nights. They park cars all the way up Caldwell Drive, all the way up to Duke and past. They park on Laurel Avenue, which is a block up from them. They actually park on the sidewalk across the street from the bar, 12, 14, 20 cars lined up on the sidewalk. And they continue to do that. And when they're not open on Sunday, thank goodness, on Monday, I can pick up the trash with one hand. Every other day, every other night, at least one 5-gallon bucket of garbage. I will go up Caldwell Drive to Duke, my property, Stayburn, there's a little side street there, and out in the middle, in front, around the island. I used to do Vine Street up to Laurel and Laurel Avenue, but that was another bucket of garbage or more, and I decided it wasn't worth that for me. If they don't care anymore about their property up there, and it's a mess, Their clientele has knocked down the stop sign, they knocked down the street sign, they've knocked down two concrete planters that I got through the grant program. There's 4 trees on Vine Street that I mulch, I weed, I plant, I clean for 3 years, 4 years now, about that time. And yet this just continues. And I don't know what to do about it. We were letting them park cars on my property 4 years ago. I stopped. As of New Year's Eve, the next day, I blocked my driveway with cars. 7 cars I parked every night, and I move every morning. So they can't park there. Now, I gave in, and I hired a towing company. Said, okay, park there, I'll just tow you away. It's $155 to get your car back. They learn real fast, but they're smart enough that if they're sitting in the car, tow truck can't tow them away. And if they're all-wheel drive or whatever, it makes it more difficult. So people are still getting by with it. So I'm parking cars again. They're not gonna take any more advantage of me. It's a hassle. I don't like it, but I don't know what to do about it. They party in the street. They're there till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. My neighbors, the people who live on Caldwell, they park in their driveways, they park in their yard. Up Caldwell Drive and even on Laurel, they park in the mud, they park in the weeds, and that's all a mess too. And again, I don't know who's in charge of that, who's supposed to take care of, is that the county that does Caldwell Drive? They do a lousy job of it. And I'm just at wit's end, between the cars, the people, the noise. They just had windshields broken Saturday night, Sunday morning. The police were on Caldwell Drive. The neighbors said 6 or 7 vehicles had their windshields shattered. Thank goodness they didn't shatter mine or the neighbors. It was all the patrons or the clientele from the bar. I would think that's not a drawing card to go visit that particular establishment. It's crowded. They don't use masks. They do wand people going in. They do use a wand, checking for whatever. Their parking lot in the back is full. It'll hold 12 to 15 cars. And on the street, I bet there's 50. They've got a party bus that shows up on Saturday night. That's one of those great big party bus with 15 or 20 people in it. They blocked the street with it. They were parking on my driveway. Not anymore. It's just a big nuisance. I've got other issues with that. I've caught them urinating on my building. Yes, I scared a couple of them. I was actually in the building in the dark and saw a guy turn his car on and walk around the back of his car up against my building. And I went out the door, and I think he might have made a mess. What a shame. But I asked him where he lived, and he said, why? I said, I'm going to come pee on your porch. He didn't like that either. And the police have come down there numerous times, and it just seems that nothing changes. It doesn't get any better for me or the neighbors. This nuisance continues to do that. I'm trying to think of the parking on the sidewalk, the speeding, and they park on Caldwell, and they'll park with their tires in the street side of the white line. They'll double park. And they have said that the police have come down and either towed them or ticketed them or warned them. I've seen where they've gone into this establishment and told them, you better move these or we're going to. And this has been 4 years. And they act like it's no big deal. They're trying to run a successful business. I don't know what successful is, but aggravating the neighborhood isn't successful as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not the only one complaining. I'm the only one that made it tonight. And I've told them, call the police. Well, I don't want to, they'll revenge, or they'll do. Call the police. We have to have it registered. If you don't know about it, then nothing will get done about it, because we complain. I called Cincinnati police because of the parking, because they're actually in Cincinnati when they park across the street. And then Springfield Township hands are tied. So I'm not sure about the jurisdiction situation. There's other issues at the corner. There's parking, there's speeders go up and down Caldwell Drive. It's a racetrack from my place all the way up to the bottom of the hill. It's probably a quarter-mile run. And I get students and people in little hot rod cars doing that too. And then these clientele that do it from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 2 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know what can be done, what we as a neighborhood can do, or am I just going to be picking up the trash?
Dan, it sounds like, obviously, we've known each other for a long time now.
Yep.
Good to see you, by the way.
Yeah.
It sounds like an issue that we hear and see in a lot of places in the township. And the problem for us is, while we empathize with what's going on and we don't disagree with anything you're saying, it's what can we do legally, right? That's what it boils down to.
Sure.
And for us, sometimes what happens is, yes, the business is the genesis of a lot of the problems, right? But the business didn't do the littering. The business didn't park illegally. So going after the business legally doesn't do us any good, because it's the individuals that are patroning that business that are the ones committing those acts. So unfortunately, we have to catch the people that are leaving, doing the littering. We have to ticket the people that are doing the parking. Legally, there's really nothing we can do to the business itself, because they're not the ones that are doing anything illegal, if that makes any sense. As much as it's frustrating, I have this conversation with staff a lot about different issues throughout the township. This is one of several that is very like this. There's another institution on Hamilton Avenue that contributes to the community in the same way that the one you're describing. And we have similar issues with them too, except that they are doing some things that we think we could go after them on. But in this particular situation, it's not the business that's parking illegally or littering. So as much as we can tell them, I don't have anything legally that I can go after the business for. It's the individuals that we have to deal with.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and I know. And yet they tell me, the police have told me at one time they hired a detail before the pandemic. There was a police department detail that would sit across the street. 2 officers in a cruiser would sit across the street. Now, I don't know what they did except watch the front of the business, front of the building, and what's going on 9th Street there in front. I don't know what kind of jurisdiction, I mean, as far as parking, as far as littering, as far as crowd control, and the number of people that go in there, I don't know what their occupancy level is, but
We'll find out.
I agree. I don't know what that is, but I agree. And at least the owner has come out and said, my people come out at the end of the night and pick up the trash. Why do I find 2 buckets of it? You don't walk all the way up the street where they park.
Right.
And there's litter right in front of the building. You can open the door and see it. And it's from here to that window going up Vine Street. And it's across Vine Street. I say, I hear it when it hits the ground. There's a piece of litter somebody threw out. I'm like, I heard it. It's, I'm grabbing my grabber and my bucket and I'm out there picking it up. And they don't do anything to, I told him, I said, you need 4 garbage cans. You need to put, he's got one right at the porch of the front of this place. I said, you need to have one at that corner, and at that corner, and at that corner, And you need to put a sign on them that says, put your trash in here.
Can we, let's do this. I know that you're in constant communication with the police department, at least it sounds like, and I know Chief Browder has indicated that he spoke to you several times, tried to reach back out to you and call you, and unfortunately not able to connect. I know, our Public Works Department, we're doing some pretty, hopefully, good work with our Neat Streets program and having some folks out picking up litter. Now, I can't commit to saying I'm going to have someone there every morning before you get to work to clean up Vine Street, but I'm sure we can come up with something to maybe help a little bit. So why don't we, after the meeting, maybe talk to you for a few seconds and give us some time to come up with some ideas and reach back out to you and see what we can come up with?
Because, and it's not just me, I'm just the one here.
Sure, no, I understand.
It used to be Alfred Motors was across the street, and he sold, and the guy that was there would move his cars on Friday night and rent the lot to them, and they would call it VIP parking, and they charge $10 to park there.
Right.
In Cincinnati, and walk across the street to their car. Well, they don't do that anymore. And what used to be Withers Imports, he used to let them park there too. He don't do that anymore. They're frustrated as bad as we are.
Yeah.
And, people are...
Yeah. In addition to the littering thing, we'll have the fire department look into the occupancy limits and see if they're violating that as well. That is one area where we can make sure the business is doing things legally.
And kind of a quick question maybe in around this too. The last guy that was there, Greg and Barb Thompson was their name. They had the bar, someplace different, I think they called it, or I'm not sure, before this bar was there. And he had asked me if he could park some of his cars in my lot. I've got a parking lot behind my building. It goes behind two buildings next to me.
I'm familiar.
Yes, and he had said that he had to have enough parking on his lot for so many people for the bar.
Yes, from a zoning perspective, you're required to have so many parking spaces per square foot of an establishment like a bar. What I will say, there are caveats to that in that if that bar and that business existed prior to the current zoning code, they would be considered what's called grandfathered. However, that doesn't affect the legal occupancy limits. It just deals with the parking aspects. So we'll look into both, but I think our more immediate issue is regarding the occupancy limits. The parking one's going to be a little more difficult to deal with, but the occupancy limits is fairly straightforward. So we'll deal with that, and we'll circle back with you and maybe come up with some ideas on litter, and then also we'll let you know where we stand with the occupancy and the parking issue.
Great.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to address the board?
Rick Bly.
I can't remember his name, but I'm at this end right now. My stomach is in knots.
What's,
He is Brightview Drive.
Can you pull the mic down, please?
And would you
He
state
is
your,
on Brightview.
you put your name and address?
I didn't, but.
Can you?
Benny Robinson, 1640 Brightview Drive, zip 31.
That's great, thank you.
And them kids are driving me crazy. And their parents, I really got a scare on 4/8 when one of the fathers jumped out of his car and he said, "B, leave my kids alone." I didn't say nothing, I just froze. And his body language was over the top. He walked out his driveway, so I immediately just called 911, because I didn't know what he was going to do. But their kids cuss me out every day. They throw me the finger. They done threw rocks at my car. Now I have to come up with $500 to get my car repaired. And before all of this occurred, there was rock throwing. People's cars had been hit. I looked out my window because I work in my little computer room because I work from home. And I saw 3 kids throwing rocks up towards my car, but they hit my other neighbor's car. And he stopped dead in the street, jumped out, and said, "Who did it?" And they like, I don't know. I said, all three of y'all did it because I was watching y'all out my window. I said, call the police, and I'll confirm the ones who threw the rocks. Nothing happened. Because I guess it was no damage. The parent that they went to with the two boys, because there was two at this house and one at this house, she cussed them out. She cussed out the police. That's what they do. They just cuss you out. The parents and the kids. My sons are so upset of them disrespecting their mother, because the father and my sons grew up together, and they never disrespected anybody's parents. And he's going to come at me like that. It's totally uncalled for.
As I understand it, I guess the original call originated from a basketball hoop that was in the street. So we came up, removed the hoop. A gentleman kind of got a little bit out of control. He was then arrested and taken to the Justice Center, right?
That was the next day when he was arrested.
Right. But
Basketball hoop, I didn't actually, when I made that call, and I told the kids, the basketball, I said, well, from last year, y'all was told that y'all were not allowed to have this basketball hoop out here. They cussed me out. I was videotaping them so I can see who they were, because they were in my driveway, by my car, and I said, they said, why are you videotaping us? I said, because if y'all hit my car with that ball, I'll see who y'all are, and then I can have proof that y'all hit my car with the ball.
so we removed the hoop,
Y'all
right?
removed the hoop, and then the next day, that's when all hell broke
And
loose.
then we came up, arrested one gentleman who kind of got a little bit out of control. Unfortunately, I will say that while I wouldn't like anyone cussing out my wife, my daughter, or anyone else I'm related to, or you, frankly, for that matter, as a resident of the township, however, or especially our police department, unfortunately, it's not illegal to cuss out the police. So,
Yeah, they cussed the police out.
that's not illegal. As we see on the news every night, that's not illegal.
I was told
So-
that. I saw it for my own self as well.
Right. But, anytime there's an incident, obviously, we're going to respond and do what we can legally. I know exactly the incident you're referring to. I spoke to both Kathleen Kennedy and Chief Browder and Assistant Chief Bly about this very situation. If there are kids doing things illegal, we catch them, or we have someone that's an eyewitness that's willing to go to court and be an eyewitness and prosecute these individuals, then we'll do it.
Of them throwing rocks.
And you can point them out and know the ones in
Yes.
court?
I pointed them out to the police when it
Okay.
happened.
Well, I mean, the owner of the car has to file a complaint.
That's her.
It's my car.
All right, if it's you, then you can file a complaint.
Chief Browder, has it?
My understanding, ma'am, is that you specifically told Assistant Chief Bly that you could not physically identify the children that threw the rocks at your car. And he explained to you that in order to make a prosecution of a case in Hamilton County, we would need you to say specifically, this person, and that person threw rocks at my car, and you were unable to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, what I'm saying is when they was throwing rocks up at my car and they hit my neighbor's car, he jumped out and said who did it. I identified them then. Okay, nothing was done. They are the ones who've been throwing rocks all this time.
But in order to prosecute it, we need you to go to court and point out who did it.
And we need your neighbor.
I don't know when they hit my car. I just
Right.
feel like they were the same ones.
Right. And
We want to do something, we
and
just
like-
have to be able to do it legally.
They're the same ones. I just came out today. They ready to come to this meeting. They said, that bitch.
And likely they are one and the same. But let me suggest this to you. Rather than confronting them, let us come and get cussed out. We're used to it.
Yeah, that's what I told
Okay.
the parents. I have not disrespect your kids. I have not cursed your kids.
Right.
They have cursed me out all the time. I said, now, I would fuss at your kids, but I didn't cuss at them. And the mother gave me permission. She said, I know my son is bad. I ain't got no problem with that. But the other day, when I went to try to tell her son was throwing rocks, she closed the door in my face. So what's my next step but to call the police?
Correct. That's what I'm asking you to do.
And then when we get there, in order for us to prosecute or to actually do anything about it, we have to have you or someone else say, this is the kid that did it, or this is the individual did it, and I'm willing to testify to that in court.
Well, I just got sort of like a ring thing, because I wish I had it earlier. But I'm still not sure how to work it. I'm still
Video.
learning how to work it, but
I'll tell you what,
I'm really afraid, because if I keep calling the police, they're retaliating against me.
well, we never disclose who does it, but I'll make a deal with you. If you get the Ring camera, we'll help you get it set up, okay? Will that help? That's easy. We do that all the time. We love Ring cameras.
Then you'll have the video that helps.
Correct.
Something like the ring, but if we put it outside, I have to take it down and recharge it, and I don't want them to see where I have it, because they'll go around and break that.
They do have solar panels for Ring cameras that are very inexpensive. You don't have to.
On my doorbell, put it right there.
And hardwire it, which is what I do to my house. And you don't have to change the battery.
We're happy to come up and kind of show you where good places are to put those up.
But I'm getting ready to get the ring now. I put the one I got now in the vacuum, and I haven't had any problems back there as of yet. Now, my other neighbor is throwing rocks over the house into his yard. He has a deck, so his is covered. Mine is open, so I got all my glass patio furniture out there. It's gonna cost me money. If I don't see them, it'll cost me money, like with my car.
Right.
I got a $500 deductible I gotta pay out just to get my car fixed. Anybody should have a pissed off attitude is me.
I don't disagree, and the problem with the children are probably the lack of parental guidance, as is with a large part of our society, unfortunately.
And I'm just afraid that it's something that's gonna escalate, and it's not gonna be good. I feel it coming. I hate to say that. I really do. I hate to say it's gonna blow up this summer. If it's not caught right now and has some kind of control, which I don't think is gonna be any way to control it, because the kids don't listen to their parents, and they laugh at the police.
Yeah. And if they're not doing anything that we can actually arrest them for, that we can prove, right?
So
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult.
We just live there in misery. Well, I'm trying to retire and enjoy my house, so,
I get it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Okay, I got them on my kid, my name, on my property. I'm not even at home, I'm at work. And they banging on my door, and I don't want to turn it up because they like cussing off the chain into my camera, like just going.
Can you give us your name and address?
Oh, Cheryl Powell, 1632 Brightview Drive. And while I'm not home, and ain't nobody in my house, I don't know why they up at my door. But like she said, it started from the basketball hoop.
Sure.
I had nothing to do with that. My husband come out to go pick his truck up, and the mother cussing him out from across the street because she lived directly across from me. And he was like, "What is you talking about? I'm tired of y'all effing with my kids." He had no clue. She had to come outside and tell him. He ain't had nothing to do with it. I called the police. So while their mom in the house, they all, both of her sons and the other little boy she was talking about, walked up in my yard to my front door, banged on the door, and started cussing into the ring.
Have you shared that with the police?
We tried, who is Tom?
I'm sorry?
Tom, something police, chief or something police?
Tom Mullins?
Yes.
Okay.
Me and the lady officer at the police station was trying to like send it to his phone so he can actually see who it is, but we never could do it.
Okay. Well,
We had to sit to it.
when we get finished, I'll give you an email and you can email it directly to me.
Okay,
Okay?
because I mean, it just don't make no sense. We had no clue of whatever was going on. Me and my husband always at work when it happened. And he came home and he told me, check the ring. And I pulled it up, and that's what came up. I was like, really? And their mother's right in the house. in the house. Ain't coming out to say nothing. And they really do got potty mouth. To be that young, they can't be no more than what, 12, 13 and down. That's how old these kids are. And like she said, my kids are getting really upset about it too. And I was like, you know what, don't even worry about it. Let me just keep calling the police, see what's gonna happen. And it's been going on for the last, what, 2 years? Straight 2 years. Because some of the parents leave and leave them there. So it's really nobody to watch them but themselves. Because both the cars be gone, they hop in their cars, they leave. No sooner the parents leave, give them about 20 minutes, they outside. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah, I'd have to defer to the police department if there's, and Laura, I don't know if there's anything with kids screaming. I don't know if that rises to the level of harassment or what that is, but.
Well, what you do on your Ring doorbell, if somebody keeps ringing your doorbell, you can talk to them through the Ring and tell them they can't trespass anymore.
It's a sensor, I guess, so anything that
Right.
comes in my yard.
Right, but you need to officially notify them not to be on your property, and once they do that, you need to call us first. We'll assist you with that. We'll put that in our system, and if they're back on your property, particularly with a Ring camera, we'll arrest them for trespassing.
Yeah, and that's the part, they know it's there.
I think that's what all of you should do. You send a written notice that not permitted on your property.
Yeah,
After you send that, and if they are with your cameras, then it's a trespass.
and the youngest little boy,
I didn't hear you. Can you say that again? You should send them a written notice that they're not permitted on your property. Send who a written notice? The people across the street.
parents just put a sign on my yard saying no trespassing.
You have to notify them.
How can we send them a written notice? They go to mail?
Yeah.
Oh, we can do that.
I don't know their name.
Don't have-
Just write a note and stick it in their mailbox.
Yeah.
It came on mine.
Send it through the mail.
Oh, we could get the address, it's right across the street from me.
You can say
You
resident.
sent a resident.
County auditor.
Yeah, you can look on the county auditor
I see
and
these
say,
people
say,
knock
oh,
on the door, and then she either cusses out or she have the door in her face. I'm not gonna make you mad. So,
But the only thing that's really going to help this situation is you call the police and let us do what we can do legally, some of which, unfortunately, the cussing out and the screaming, probably not a lot of legal things we're going to be able to do, because cussing at people isn't necessarily illegal, so, including cussing at the police. So,
I'm gonna do the trespassing because they always in our yard.
yeah, she's not
Yeah.
here.
And my husband is real protective about his yard. So he tell them all the time, like, don't walk in the grass. There's a sidewalk, walk right around. But they like to cut through. I said, that's what made me get the ring down, so he could see it.
yeah.
Because he went and approached the mom. And like I said, she got smart with him, telling me, how do you know it was my kid? So he was like, aren't them your daughters? Well, that wasn't them, that's the people around the corner. She don't even know people around the corner, because that's where they used to live, around the corner from us. And then moved from around the corner up there where we live at now. So,
Yeah, this is definitely all information that obviously needs to be relayed to the police department.
I assume they're renters.
huh?
I assume they're renters.
Yes. Yes. And I think one of the two houses, one person owned that's renting them out. And another man owned the other. Yeah. We watched some of the kids grow up from the infant on up.
I have their kids learn how to cross the street, because they can get out there with them. I just said, stop them before they run out in the street, and say, look both ways before you go across the street. Now he cussing me out.
Yeah, that's why, because the in-house lady with the two boys and the little infant, remember how they used to run across the street? And I'm not gonna lie, when they come around, if you pull around that little curve, they come fast. And I would jump out there and say, wait, hold on, come get this little boy, please get the little boy. And it's nerve-wracking, so I'm only gonna sit in my front yard no more. I said, I can't do it. I done stopped too many kids where the parents is in the house, but they got little kids watching little bitty kids. I don't think they should be able to do it at all.
That's child endangerment, isn't it? They got an underage child resident, a smaller child.
All of it depends on age, but I think really you all need to meet with the police department. They'll give you some tools and some things to look out for and then figure out what we can do. But yes, if there are children not being supervised.
And call it a day. As long as they don't mess with me or come in my yard or anything, I'm fine. But I'm glad you brought that up, so I will do that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can we just put no trespassing sign in the yard without sending a letter?
No. she just-
You can do that, but in order to criminally prosecute them for trespassing, you have to notify them. Putting the yard in, assigning the yard isn't sufficient.
So how does y'all know we notified them? They
They
say,
can say,
"Oh,
no,
we didn't get no letter."
should we get it notarized?
Certified mail? Yes.
Certified,
Certified mail.
So I can do that?
yes.
Yeah.
I know they certified.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Vanessa Cawley. I reside at 1647 Brightview Drive. Been a resident there going on 44 years. First and foremost, I was here last year. Due to the pandemic, I haven't been back to any of the ongoing council meetings. But I'm here today, and because of the situation that my neighbors have expressed that's been going on, it's quite some time. And to be honest, as Ms. Robinson said, and Mrs. Powell, I, for one, just been there, the scene come and go, good, bad, and everything else, but it's gotten to the point that it's just beyond out of control. Number one, I depend on my higher power, okay, first and foremost, because that's what gets me through. The incident that we had last year, about this time, there was a situation, we had came to a council meeting, and it was about trespassing on the property. I'm right here in the middle. These are the houses on each side and across from me. These are all rental properties, and so at that being said, I was always, same thing, continuously trespassing, trash all over the place, loud music, just continuously, Now, mind you, I know things change over the years, and that's to be expected. But at the same time, 44 years, this is the worst I've ever seen it, to the point I don't know what I want to do, every time if I want to stay, just fight it out or move on, I'm retired now, I'm by myself, so everything I do, I have to do, for my own self. But more importantly, as I said, depending on my higher power, what must I do? Since that last incident, they had to actually call the police, when we had came from a council meeting, because the resident next door, 1653 Brightview, they continuously walking on my property because they had an old car in their driveway. So therefore, my yard was being a backup. And I had repeatedly told them, about, coming on my property, because they had this car. That's not my problem. That's not my problem. And as I said, but, trying to do it out of respect and everything. So, it just got worse, all the trash, dog feces, all in my yard. I can't even pick up their trash because of their dog coming at me, which don't make any sense. I have no animals, none whatsoever. I try to maintain my property. So I had said to them, not one time, because I feel if I got a problem, I'm going to go to the adult, but you can't talk to these individuals. They're just totally out of control. So you got older people versus young. That shouldn't be a problem. It's about respect, because we're all adults, but you can't approach them like that. And not only that, I'm not going to sit there and lower my standards, arguing with somebody about, I know what's for my property. You know what I'm saying? I've been there, like I said, 44 years, and I would say out of the 44 years, I've only called the police officer 3 times. That goes to show you over the longevity of the years, the people that we've had, and now what we've got. Now, what I want to know, these homes are being rental properties. Can we, as homeowners, contact these owners about who they're renting their property to?
You can contact whoever you want.
We can't find them.
We're looking up and everything, but these homeowners, we know they're rental properties, but should be held accountable because they're the one that's written to these tenants.
Well, we can find out who owns properties. Now, a lot of times it's an LLC and it's sent to a PO box or some other nondescript address
In California.
in California or wherever else,
Oh, yeah,
God
right.
knows where. So can we find out who owns it, at least how it was legally recorded? Yes. Can I find the individual person who's behind the LLC?
That's the hard, yeah. I mean, I've been
Maybe.
doing some research, you know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, what you're asking is, we do all the time. I mean, we try and reach out to property owners all the time and explain to them that they have tenants that are causing problems. At the end of the day, unless that property owner cares about the neighborhood in which he owns a piece of property, probably falls on deaf ears. So
Right.
our only recourse then is to make sure the tenant complies with the law.
Well, he does,
It sounds
they
like a
don't
lot
care.
of stuff, and I'm not trying to be flippant, believe me.
No,
If I had neighbors like this, I would be doing the same thing you are. So I'm very empathetic. But also, unfortunately, in my job, sometimes I have to be pragmatic
respect your
too,
job.
right? And in this situation, it sounds like a lot of stuff that's happening sometimes is illegal, right? Unfortunately, sometimes those illegal acts, we can't prove who did it. So nothing really happens, at least sometimes in your mind. But most often, it sounds like a lot of stuff I'm hearing is just bad parenting. And unfortunately, we, as a political body and as a local government, can't legislate people to be good parents. So the kids, if they're disrespectful, the kids, if they say curse words, the kids, if they do all that stuff, we're not going to stop that. There's no law we're going to pass. There's nothing we're going to enforce that's going to stop them from doing that. If they trespass, yes. If they damage property, yes. And we can prove who did it.
Right.
All the other stuff, unfortunately, you can come to every meeting between now and 50 years from now, and there's no local government in this country that's going to be able to pass a law that's going to stop that. As much as I want to, it's not going to happen. I just don't want to give you false hope of what we're able to do and not able to do. It has nothing to do with, I don't believe you, or I don't think it's a big deal. It has nothing to do with that. I just want to be clear about what our legal ability is and what our legal ability, where the limits are. We will come out every time you call us. That doesn't necessarily mean that the next time that kid is not going to curse you out that night or the next morning. We're not going to be able to stop that. That's the unfortunate, but that's the truth.
Oh, and I agree with that.
So I want to get to a point, though, where there are actionable things that we can do and that we know where our abilities begin and end, right? Because I don't want to give you guys some sort of false impression that you said you were going to fix all this and we didn't. I'm going to tell you what we can fix and what we're able to fix, and we'll do our best to do that. But I'm also going to be very honest and say, if you think by doing all this that these kids are somehow now just going to leave you alone and they're not going to be disrespectful, that isn't going to happen. Until their parents decide to be parents.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, like I say, you're looking at difference of age and young women who've got, you know, quite a few kids and
Right.
everything, whether
Right.
there's a male,
Right.
you know, perspective or
Yeah.
somebody, but, you know,
So
to help out.
if you notice something where people are trespassing, damaging property, call us. If they're doing something else that you think we need to deal with, call us. But at the end of the day, they still may be disrespectful and you still may not like living next to them.
Okay, and I get that, and I'm okay with that. However, I agree with what you're saying. But at the same time, I pass that because, as I said, I depend on my higher power. When that incident happened last year, at that point, I have never said anything, nothing, even to the parents or the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see trash, I pick it up. That's not what I'm supposed to do because it's their trash, but it keeps them arguing. I don't have time for that. You
Right.
know, I'm a better person. I'm not
agree.
going to lower my standards. But at the same time, you know, give you an incident, and then you can tell me this. I was out there, then today, let me just be forward now. I was out there all day today cleaning my yard. Like I said, it's just me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm, you know, widowed and everything. I have one daughter, but she doesn't live here. She lives in another state. So when I do my yard work, I'm out there, you know, all day. They can attest to that. But then when I come back, you know, it's trash. So Saturday, I came out and I saw a little, you know, the basketball court, a little mini one, you know, on the grass. And then there was the one. So it means if you're at this house, you got to, they know they want to shoot, so they got to have a little distance, if you will, which means you're coming in front of where my residence is.
Yeah.
So I came out and I said to him, and that's the first time, like I said, I many a times, I don't say nothing, I pick up the paper, keep it moving. That's when my daughter said, Mom, don't, I not do. So, but that time I was concerned because I'm looking at all this paper and they having a good time with the hoops and stuff. So I come to the door and I said, excuse me, I said, you all are, on my property plan. And the first thing they said, no, we're not. I said, yes, you are. They said, no, we're not. They said, we're not on your property. This is the sidewalk, and right here, is your driveway. So they're saying, this is all this right here. That means we can play there. I said, but you're in front of my house. They said, but this is not your property. This is public property. Okay, but I maintain it. I'm the one who cuts it. Like I had problems with the tree. Springfield Township said, you got a problem with the tree, you got to cut it down. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm maintaining it. It's just as well to be mine. But again, I said, fine. So they're going to give me the scenario, where this is here. But if we walk up your driveway, then we're on your property.
Correct.
But you can play ball in front of. I don't need that. I don't have any children. I don't have to, and if I did, they wouldn't be disrespectful. However, I don't think I deserve to have the noise and the bouncing of the balls allowed. I don't deserve that.
Yeah, what state law says is that the area between the property line and the street, the sidewalk, is a public right-of-way. So we can't prevent anyone from being on the sidewalk.
No, I know.
But are you responsible to maintain it? Yes, the law also says that the area in front of your house, you're responsible to maintain.
Of course.
So I know it sort of seems like a contradictory notion that,
Yeah.
people can be there and I have to maintain it. I can't make certain people leave and certain people stay. I understand the conflict there, but that is the law. So they have the ability to be there. We can't stop them from being on the sidewalk.
That's just, and I agree. But it's still, I'm going to have to be out there picking up trash all the time.
And that's a state law, by the way. That isn't something this board can change.
Okay, but at any rate, all of a sudden, the one court is gone, so they make another move to another part of another residence and everything. But I don't want to have all that noise, and I got to pick up that trash. It don't seem like no matter what's being said here, and I get your all's position, but that we as residents, it's just like there's nothing to do. I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm retired. I want to stay home and do what I'm supposed to do.
I understand that, and I understand it sounds like that. And actually, it doesn't just sound like that. It is what we're saying to some degree. I'm not going to lie to you. That is what we're saying. But I want to be honest. I don't want to sit up here and tell you things that I can't deliver on. I never want to be in that situation where I'm saying, I'm going to fix this for you, and that we can't.
I wouldn't want you to.
So that's why, while I'm saying it may not be the thing that people want to hear, I'm never, if there's anything, I'm never going to be accused of being a liar. So a lot of things that you're complaining about, there simply isn't a law to prevent it. So, and the things that there are laws to prevent, you're not going to find a better police department in the world that's going to try and do that. But at the same time, we can't arrest people and do things for things that aren't necessarily illegal acts.
Oh, yeah. So therefore, we just have to, just kind of subject ourselves. Like I said, I not lower my standards, but I know how to just turn away in spite of me wanting to say something. Because number one, I don't argue with kids, but when you've got parents, and it starts from the parents, I get that.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about it, because our children are all grown and moved on, and everything. Yep. But knowing today versus when I moved there back in the 70s, that would have never been.
My wife is a teacher in elementary school, and she'll tell you that kids don't get in trouble in school for stuff either.
No, I know.
So it isn't just parents, it's the entire system now.
Yeah, I have a lot of my church members are teachers, so I know what they deal with, but it's just so unfortunate. But a lot, like I said, I don't get the, I don't know if it's like, well, she doesn't say anything. I'll always pick up the paper, but I just got to the point, just pick it up.
Call us anytime,
and keep
but
moving.
also know that we're going to do everything we can legally, and we're going to tell you things that we can't deal with. And you can be mad at us for it, and I'm not saying you are, but I'm okay with that. But just know that there are certain things we can and can't do, and I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah,
As frustrating as it is, it's just as frustrating for us. We want to stop it, and it kills us that you have to call us and deal with this stuff. But
right,
we can't commit illegal acts to prevent things either. So
yes, I mean, I sympathize with the gentleman here that spoke, you know, I know what he's dealing with. You know, the only thing his business, but it's the same, but people get to a point, you just get tired.
Yep.
And all they're doing, it sounds to me like, well, we're gonna see who's gonna leave, you know, we're gonna run them out of well, but these homeowners, they don't care, they just want the money, and they don't care about the resident, that's bringing down my property value.
Right.
You know?
I get it.
You know, and it's ridiculous, like I said, I'm out there at nighttime, you know, doing by myself, I'm tired, but I wanna get it done. But then I come back, trash everywhere, you know what I'm saying? From throwing hoops and loud music, you know, I can't sleep at night, you know, even on a Saturday morning, Saturday night, I'm getting ready to go for church.
Yep.
You know, I've been up all night.
If they made us rulers of the universe, we'd create
I
laws
know.
to stop all this stuff. Unfortunately, I don't think
sad.
anyone's going to give me that authority, so we're going to have to do with what's in the law, and we're doing the best we can with what law is provided to us.
Well, it's like they say they're aware of these certain residents and so forth, the law enforcement said they are aware of certain situations, all these
Right.
people, but at this point, it just doesn't. But again, as I said, I don't say anything, I don't argue with them, I just pick it up.
That's probably good practice,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Well, that's what the Lord told me to do, and then he told me to get out there and act the fool.
Yeah, and if the world was perfect, we wouldn't have to hire people to walk around and pick up litter everywhere either, what we do.
Exactly.
I mean, you see Ohio Department of Transportation workers out on the highway picking up litter. In a perfect world, they could be doing other things, paving roads and fixing bridges, but no, your state tax dollars have to have people picking up litter on the highway because people are too lazy to take it home and throw it in the garbage can. So they spend upwards to $4 to $8 million a year picking up litter on state highways. Do you think that money could be better spent somewhere else if people just didn't litter? Oh yeah, 100%. But that's the unfortunate world we live in, so.
We all understand you have a problem, and we're going to do the best we can within the confines of the law to try and deal with it. I'm just sitting here looking at your street. Is one of the problem houses 1648?
Yes, that's
Yep.
directly across from
That's
me.
owned by an LLC out of Dallas, Texas.
Exactly.
And their mail goes to Dayton, goes to Vinebrook Homes in
Right,
Dayton,
it is.
Ohio.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of them, that's the one,
But
yes.
and I can there's two more LLCs on that street.
1653 and the other,
yeah.
exactly, because I'm in the middle there, 1657.
Okay.
Yes, but you're absolutely right, Mr. Hunter.
Yeah.
Those are the ones, you know, and again, you know, and I know you all, and I respect your all's position, I truly do, and I appreciate that. However, you know, I feel that it starts with the owners of the property as a homeowner versus them, if they're renting. This is where the problem lies, you know, with your homeowners and things, you know, because as a homeowner, you never came to me and said, oh, Miss Carly, can I use your residence to remove, you know, cars and remove, you know, new furnace, you know, furnace. No one ever said it to me because you got an old car on your property. That's not my responsibility. Does he know that? I don't know that. But did no one come and ask me if you can use my property as a backup because you decided to have an old car in your driveway? That's not acceptable to me. You know, and then you leaving trash and everything. Yeah, they got all new appliances, you know, air conditioner, furnace, and a hot water heater. They use my property just like, oh, we all friends. I'm not. These are not my neighbors. These are my neighbors. Those are people that live in the neighborhood, and there's a difference.
We'll keep chipping away at it, and hopefully they get tired of the police dealing with them, and maybe they move.
Well, we'll see. You know, with the pandemic, everything's down. Well, you can't evict anybody because of the pandemic. You know, you're hearing all of that, so, you know, so. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm very observant. I pay attention to everything, and it's just about every other day, the lady on the in-house, she plays her music like from 11 to probably 1, 2 in the morning. But what she does is she let it play so long, she got both her car doors open and her trunk open. And you can hear it vibrate in my house, and I stay down the street from her. And she'll turn it off, wake up out, blast it right back up. I think she's trying to get to us because she's doing that. So I was like, okay, well, she turned it down, she must be down, the police must be over there. Then it come right back up. Real loud. I mean, everybody hears it, it vibrates in your house.
Well,
You just need to call us. We'll come write her a ticket.
I'm gonna call police.
I did.
I'm sorry. I want to thank Ms. Kathleen Kennedy for all your support. Isn't that you? I really appreciate all your help. I really do. and the assistant chief. But
Right.
I'm piggybacking behind her as far as the music. I'm the only one calling the police. It seems like everybody else gets called police. I do. Okay, and I'm tired of that. It's like they left her, they still messing with her, but not as much as I want to be now. We ready to do home improvements, because I only got 4 more years to retire. And I want everything done by the time I retire. And I'm scared to put my stuff up, because I think they're gonna tear it up. And my home insurance will pay for it, but they might drop it, you know, after I do all of that. But I wanted, on this one paper y'all gave us about the paving of the road, back at that again, remember? She's been there 44 years. I've been here 32 years.
It's going to be paved next summer.
It's going to be paved next summer? All the way, not just.
The entire neighborhood,
Not patchwork,
Not-
like whole road.
new roads.
Okay, thank you, that's what I really love to do.
I wanted to speak with Mike about that, because I have been in contact with him, he had been following.
New roads next summer.
All right, amen.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and it was one more thing, I did the number. That LLC, oh, no, what it was with the music. Kathleen told me the different times that they can play it. But if it's a long stretch and it's over 150 feet or something like that, which we all are, we can hear it in our house and we're jamming with it. When you all are calm, will they get a ticket?
My understanding, you were saying it was a motor vehicle with the doors open and the trunk open? That's a whole different scenario than what Ms. Kennedy's talking about.
She just got a new car, so she's showing it off. She started off at the house. At about 11:30, because like I said, I'm right there in my computer room, and I can.
So but we have to be specific. Is it coming from the house or the car?
Oh,
Okay, well, the car, there's no hours specific as there is with, and, correct, a motor vehicle is a motor vehicle.
okay, but the bottom line is, it's coming from the house, like it was, because I don't know how long that car gonna last. But, if it's coming from the house, and it's not between those hours, or it's over those hours, like that 3-hour long time frame with the loud noise, 100-something, will they get a fine?
A fine and a ticket, it's the same thing, yes. Yes, if they're doing it in violation of the established hours and the length of time, yes. It's,
I think she said after 10 o'clock, Sunday through Thursday, and 12 o'clock Saturday.
Why don't we do this? After the meeting, we can figure out exactly what that is.
If they get fined enough, maybe they'll stop, I don't know, because this is excessive. You can't do nothing with the car.
no, the car's easier than the house.
What he was saying is, there's no time limit on the car. It's the opposite of what you think. He's not saying the car can do whatever it wants. He's saying the car doesn't have a permissive time where they can do it.
Oh,
I heard how music in your car anyway was a ticket.
That's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
y'all gonna see us for a while.
All in favor?
Fine.
Aye.
Yeah, you're
Aye.
fine. Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.